We are the Institute for Intuitive Intelligence, revolutionizing intuition by training spiritually fierce women globally as qualified intuitive guides. Subscribe for the leading research and teachings on the conversation of intuition development. Hey, dear beloveds. I am very delighted to be here with you today. It has been a genuinely long time, and part of that has been a real intentional going within and doing some really deep work, being invited to do some really deep work, and to need to sort of tend house and kind of make sure that the things in the background of my service are also being taken care of. And that has been a really profound blessing in so many ways, and a huge up-leveling, as these things always are. There's also been a lot going on in the background of my personal life as well. And I feel really interested that in the last, let's say probably 5 or 6 days or so, this turning outwards again has started to happen for me, and a feeling of wanting to show up in these sorts of spaces, wanting to teach publicly, wanting to share words and ideas, and having these creative downloads and this kind of big energy of what I want to be sharing with the world. In fact, I've got 2 books scheduled for release this year, and a third one just jumped into my head this morning. And I'm like, thank you, creative genius mind. I'm very grateful for that. And also, maybe we need to slow it down a little bit. But we can work on slowing things down. It's all right to write things down anyway and come back to them later. Which is what I teach my postgrads. Doesn't all have to happen at once. Just write it down and come back to it later. But that is not what I'm here to talk about today, the creative process. What I want to do is really launch back into teaching and sharing ideas with you in this way by touching on something that's fairly classic to the teaching of the Institute, and vital to the understanding of the difference between intuition, psychic skill on the one hand, and intuitive intelligence on the other. And interestingly, today I'm revamping some of the copy on the website, and I've realized I actually find writing quite challenging compared to speaking. I really love speaking ideas out loud. And in fact, the new book that is coming out in June, Superconscious Intuition, is so much of it is transcriptions of my live teachings, because I just find my ideas just roll so much more effortlessly. But the writing process is vital. That's the editing and refining process. So I've been doing that, and I've been reworking the website. So in a little while, if you want to pop over there and check out what I've been doing and any thoughts you have, that would be great. But has really allowed me to sort of reflect on what is core to the teachings of the Institute and what are these points of difference. And today I want to talk about Superconscious Intuition, which is the title of the upcoming book, and talk a little bit more about what that is, because I'm aware that that is a new way of speaking about intuitive intelligence, and to look at the idea of superconscious intuition through the 3 immutable laws, which is also absolutely key to the teachings of the Institute. So just to kind of give you a little overview, especially if you're new here or you haven't thought about this in a little while, I'm always very happy to have a refresher myself. I listen to everything that I teach, I read everything that I write, because this is my medicine, this is the info that I need, and you may also gain some benefit from it. So the 3 immutable cosmic laws are the laws that govern the functioning of the cosmos, and they never change. They won't change in a millennia. They have never changed in all of cosmic creation. And no matter what we apply them to, they remain true. And when it comes to understanding intuition, these laws really allow us to understand the difference between a superficial kind of new age, trinkety relationship with intuition versus a really deep faith-based intuitive intelligence. And that's really the difference, if you like. I often think the ways that we think about intuition are very much about this kind of superficial, I want to go and book a reading with a psychic or an intuitive so that I can get some info about my future and whether I should marry that person or whether I'm on the right path, or even the idea of, going to see a healer who's going to fix me and solve my problems by holding some good energy around me, versus the intuitive intelligence, which is a personal responsibility, a self-reliance and a sovereignty, where I am the oracle, I am that guide of my own experience. And there may be blocks and impediments to me being able to fully access that, but I'm willing to do the deep work, even if at times I need guidance to do that in order to meet that part of myself. And the laws really help us come into that deep faith-based relationship, and faith being faith in and of the self. The first law, very quick overview, the law of mentalism states that all is one, all is of the mind of God, to use my language, or all is of the one mind, if you don't want to use the word God, but you should probably not hang around here if that's the case, because that's a word I use a lot. And this is really the law that explains the functioning of intuitive intelligence. If all is of the one mind, and that one mind is the God mind, and I am part of the all, then how could I not have access to all the knowledge, all the information? And that one mind is timeless and spaceless. So it's all time and space. It doesn't matter which lifetime we're talking about. It doesn't matter future, past, present. Those are ideas that are human constructs, not cosmic quantum constructs. And so we're really looking at that all that ever was and ever will be is here right now in this moment. And if I train my deep states of intuition, my intuitive intelligence, and really have that willingness to open to that one mind, which can only be done when we look at the third law, the law of vibration, by the right vibrational set point, then I will have access to any wisdom that is required in this moment to help me make the choices that I need, for example. So this is what underpins and explains the functioning of intuitive intelligence. And it isn't that one person in the one mind has access to that knowledge about you that you don't have. It's that there is only one mind. There is only one of us here. And if we're dealing in separation or dualism, if we're believing that the answers are outside of ourselves, that something or someone can access them and we can't, then we're breaking the law. And we're going to see more of that, right? The further away our innate intuition feels, the more we believe that the answers are somewhere other than within us, or that our intuition is broken or faulty, which is a very convenient way of saying, I don't need to show up to my deep states of intuition and do the work that Ricky's asking me to do, because my intuition's faulty and it's hit and miss. Some days it's there, some days it's not. I don't know what's going to happen, so best not rely on me. I'll outsource and get someone else to give me the intel, and they're really, really intuitive and they're great at this, so it's all going to be fine. And that is, it's a short-term gain if you gain anything, long-term pain, because you've numbed or dumbed down your connection to that one mind every time you act in bad faith. So every time you defer outside of yourself, you are acting in bad faith. And that then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. That which you are trying to access for yourself gets further away because you have betrayed that law that all is one, all is of the one mind. So this is the first law, and it's backed up by quantum physics. We know there is a field, an inherent interconnectedness of all consciousness, and that what happens in one part of the field affects all of the field. And so this really is, we can't act in a fearful, I want someone else to take responsibility for my life kind of way, and consistently, and expect to see a sovereign, fully self-realized human being, because we are at war. We are breaking the law. Okay, second part of this, the second cosmic law, is the law of correspondence. And this one's really cool, and this one explains what I was saying in the little introduction to this post specifically, this idea of why do some intuitives or psychics or whatever they call themselves pick up bad juju around people and are constantly having to like cast spells or do, cast off bad energies, or seeing dead people or hauntings, or, tuning into people's pain and suffering, or seeing, the world through a very particularly dark lens? Is it because, they've got a power to access the underworldy, shadowy stuff while other people don't? And when we look at the law of correspondence, we can begin to understand this. Now, we say this all the time in our third level training. You can only take someone in your work as far as you have been willing to go. And if your willingness to go has only got you as far as needing to believe there's good guys and bad guys, there's things we need protecting from, there's a bad world out there, there's people trying to do, cast spells on you and do wicked things to you and curse you and cause you harm, then you're going to basically see that world around you, because as within, so without, as above, so below, you are literally manufacturing that world from within, projecting it outside, and then wondering why you keep seeing more of the same. We come to the final law, the law of vibration, in a moment, which I've touched on with both of these. But ultimately, when we do the deep work of a deep faith, we do the work of intuitive intelligence, we elevate our frequency, we increase the frequency of our vibration. And as such, the world that we are seeing or perceiving, and that which we are seeing in and around our clients, is from a much higher level of consciousness. And what that, it doesn't mean that we're bypassing or avoiding all of those things that the others are seeing down here in those lower frequencies. It simply means that you are literally generating a consciousness that has no accommodation for those heavy, slow, and low experiences, because the world is not a hard fact. The world is a manifestation of our consciousness. And so those things don't exist objectively outside in the world. They exist as a reflection of our belief, not just individually, but collectively. So we can say, well, that person saw it, so someone must really be trying to put a curse on me. It's like, at that level of consciousness, that reality exists. But when I train myself, as the women who work with me do, to hold a higher frequency, a higher level of consciousness, then all of that reality is changed. Now, why would that apply to you, who is the receiver or the person participating in that, but not necessarily the person doing? Because there's only one of us here. We go back to the first law. What changes in one part of the field changes all parts. And so not only is the person who is serving you, the intuitive intelligence trainer, able to change the circumstances for you simply by viewing your reality from that higher vibration, you are also then stepping into a higher realm of consciousness. And this is the work to change our vibration. And that's why the law of vibration, the final immutable law, is so, so important. And this law of vibration has been co-opted into so many sort of superficial, get rich quick, or because I'm spiritual, you know, I'm supposed to have access to everything, and you know, law of attraction kind of stuff that makes me feel really, really uncomfortable, because it really is a subverting or black magic of this law. The truth of this law, this idea that the vibration that we hold will manufacture the reality that we see reflected back to us, and our capacity to generate that reality, not just for ourselves, but for all of us, because there's only one of us here, right? So we're beginning to see how these three laws are so interwoven. And the reason why one psychic will see that someone out there is trying to put a curse on you, or your dead granny from 3 generations ago is, you know, wailing and moaning and not at peace because you didn't take 16 flowers to her grave on her 70th birthday or whatever. And, you know, all of these stories of the trinkets and superstitions, of the ways that we wrap ourselves up in fear and make it seem like it's spiritual because it's related to the psychic or intuitive realm. There are plenty of people out there doing this work who are not in any way awakening or committed to their path of awakening. And please watch out for that, because if you mistakenly, you know, believe that someone who is psychic or intuitive is on their own path of awakening, is congruent, is taking personal responsibility, is moving closer to the truth that all is one, then you are kidding yourself, because there's plenty of people out there who are not seeing this or participating in this as a form of consciousness raising. So I don't have any judgment about that. That may not be what you're after at all, but for the women I serve and the women I train, our mandate is to raise the consciousness of all through our service. And it is very much about the elevation of our own frequency as an act of service. So yes, we don't see dead people, and we're not picking up, you know, bad juju, because we do not live in that cosmos. We do not live in that reality. And if it were to try to seep in, or if a client were to bring it, the level of frequency that we're able to hold will transmute that with ease and grace. Now, we're covering a lot here, and I get that, but it's very exciting, and I haven't been around for a while, so I really want to, you know, share this. The key takeaways here right now is, don't mistake psychic for spiritual. There may be no relationship between those two at all, even though psychic actually means of the soul. Those who call themselves psychic, those who do this work as intuitives, may have no relationship to the deep work of a deep faith. They may not be on that path of awakening. They may believe that they are, and they may believe that playing in those lower realms of consciousness is part of that. And sure, it might be the gateway that opens them. But to work with an intuitive intelligence trainer, to work with people who are trained to understand the true functioning of consciousness and to be working with non-dualism through these laws is truly the gift that you are seeking to activate your own intuitive intelligence. And this is where we come to superconscious intuition. And that is our highest form of intuition that is available to us while we're still in bodily form, if you like. So superconscious intuition is that activated intuitive intelligence at that highly trained level where we are not participating in the world through reaction, we are creating the world. So we're in a participatory universe with that full awareness that we are participating in a dream state that we are collectively and individually building. And so when you work with an intuitive intelligence trainer, you are building a new reality, not asking for information about an existing reality. Do you see the difference there? How cool is that? When you work with someone who is trained to alter their frequency at will and will hold you to do the same, you are generating a new reality. So you're not going in asking for information about what effectively is the past, because anything that brought you to that moment that you want to know, should I go, should I stay, should I buy, should I sell, that is all the history. What we do is we bring you into a state of optimal functioning so that you are generating that new reality. And how do we do that? We do that by moving any impediments in your subconscious to knowing these cosmic laws. So the three immutable laws, the law of correspondence, the law of mentalism, the law of vibration, all bring us back to oneness, to the truth that I am one with the one mind. And any place that you have forgotten that is the only cause of your intuitive intelligence not being fully activated. And so our work as intuitive intelligence trainers is not to try to get you to get the information through us, but to support you to become that superconscious intuitive being that you are. We're not interested in the superficial layers of intuition. We are interested in taking you to your super consciousness. And we do that by supporting you to release those subconscious blocks to knowing who and what you are. I love it. It's my life's work. Of course I do. So superconscious intuition, the highest form of intuitive intelligence or intuition that you possess. It is a deep state of intuition. It is a state of intuition that is brought about by overcoming these belief in separation, by living through the three immutable cosmic laws, by being willing to put down your fears and make an intentional descent into the subconscious of your being in order to embrace all that you are, rather than trying to bypass it by getting someone else to take responsibility for it, like a psychic giving you the answers. It is how we go directly towards our own power. And it is stunningly simple in its beauty, and so we will often doubt it. It's much easier to think my life's not working because someone put a hex on me, and if I just get this person to do a little ritual under the full moon, and I drink these herbs and I do what they say, and I blah 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 blah, and engage in all of these kind of very seemingly spiritual but actually just complex superstitions, then somehow that's going to get me where I want to go. Self-sovereignty, self-reliance, superconscious intuition, that is the heart and soul of the Institute, and that is the work that we stand for. Thank you for hanging out with me today. It's been my absolute privilege to serve you. I'm very happy to be back having these conversations. You'll be hearing more from me in these coming weeks and months because, it's what I love to do. So much love.